Friday, June 15th, 2018, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. I don't like to make big predictions or big announcements. I like to look more at the tea leaves, but I have to say I think gold and silver are ready to take off. And in dollar terms, yesterday we did fairly well, and right now we're off a bit, and it can seem frustrating that we're not comfortably above 1300, but I'm going to show you why, technically and fundamentally, why that is happening, in my opinion. We need to hold on to our hats. It's going to start. I think the ECB meeting yesterday was very important. It just goes to show that the fiat money system is failing. They've thrown everything at it. Unconventional policy of QE, negative interest rates still in Europe, Operation Twist, everything. Huge budget deficits, especially in the US and in the UK, Europe, their budget deficits cannot be increased willy-nilly across the board like in the US. And that the failure of fiat is starting to show. Yeah, everything we've got to show for is huge amount of debts. We still have stagnant economies, and Mario Draghi, president of the ECB, wasn't even able to be optimistic about the economy. He did announce, of course, he's going to end taper and QE by the end of this year, but he surprised the markets by saying that he's going to keep the ECB reference rate or whatever deposit rate at negative 0.4% until for another 12 months. The market was kind of pricing that in, but they weren't. They were surprised that he actually announced that, and that's why the euro dumped massively. Initially, it just picked up. I saw it, when the announcement came out that they're gonna taper and stop QE. The euro actually popped up, but then it just collapsed, and the pound followed suit. I think the euro was down 200 pips or two big figures. The pound was down about one big figure, 100 pips. So, yeah, I think that's what's happening. The dollar, of course, did very well against the euro and the pound. But I think the only reason the US is getting away with things more is that the government is helping out. I know the Fed is pretending to be bullish, but I read a really interesting article yesterday that the Fed is actually being accommodative because inflation is going up quite a bit. And if we really wanted to have a neutral rate right now, it should be at almost 4%. With CPI at 2.7, and I won't even mention the fact that this CPI 2.7 is phony. So we got rates at 1.7 and the CPI is at 2.7, and according to this guy, I read this article, I think he's called Greenwich, what's it called? I think I bookmarked it here. Let's have a look. Yeah, the Fed raises rates by 25 basis points. No excess accommodation removed. Michael Carino, Greenwich Endeavors. So yeah, that's what Michael Carino of Greenwich Endeavors was saying. That if anything, if we under the neutral rate, which should be around 3 3/4, maybe 4%, and if they wanted to really tighten things up, we need to be higher, and that long-term rate should be more like 6%. So the 10-year yield around 3% is very accommodative. So there you have it. So it's 8:20 a.m. Billy did have his haircut. So let's quickly look at the prices, and then I'll show you some charts that will show you why I think we're starting now. And even though gold didn't do very well in dollars, but you're going to be surprised how well gold and silver did in other currencies, considering the dollar really spiked higher. So this morning, gold is down a bit. Am I concerned? No, it's down about $3.70 at $12.98.30. Range has been 1303.40, and 1297.50. Yesterday, I think the high was 1309. So silver 1711, down 2. Range has been 1708 to 1724. The high yesterday was 1733, which was just under the recent high we had at 1735. These guys keep an eye on these levels. I know a lot of you are saying, oh, they're never going to go up. They're going to manipulate it, but I don't think so. Not this time. They can't manipulate it forever, or else they're going to run out of the real thing. So the Dow is down 52 points, or 0.2% at 25,120. S&P is down 4, around 4, 27.79. The NASDAQ 100 future is basically unchanged, 72.77. So the pound is continuing to go down quite a bit this morning. We're down about 1/3% at 132.17. You can bet the Bank of England, I know it's early 8:20, but the BIS for them, or people are working early there, are managing the pound against the gold. I see that so much. Sometimes when the pound goes down, gold goes down. So they try to keep gold from breaking out in pounds. The euro's kind of stabilized. It's 115.56, only down 11, while the pound it's down 0.1%. The pound is down 1/3. So the pound is kind of catching up a little bit with the euro. The dollar is a little stronger against the yen at 110.73, up 0.1%. There's been some news about Japan here I just read. I think they had their Bank of Japan meeting. It says Bank of Japan leaves policy unchanged, downgrades inflation, continues stealth taper. But so Zero Hedge says yen is weaker following the BOJ's decision to leave policy rates unchanged and maintain their JGB holdings target. BOJ did downgrade their inflation outlook, but makes no mention of its ongoing stealth bond buying taper. I mean, it's really perverse that they're downgrading inflation outlook. They're talking as if inflation is something good, so they're downgrading it. So probably because inflation isn't going up as much as they want. It's weird. So yesterday, yeah, the ECB really rattled the foreign currency markets. So why? First of all, I'll show you a intraday chart of the dollar index to show you that, yeah, the dollar really rallied really strongly yesterday. As you can see, from around 93.25 all the way up to almost 95. I thought we were making a double top in the dollar index up until yesterday, but now it looks like we might not. This might negate the double top. You can see the top there from the end of May. You would have thought, oh, gold would have been down 15, 20 bucks, right? But let's have a look at gold. Intraday yesterday, it actually rallied, as you can see. It did come down towards the end of the day, and it's come down now. But we're almost breaking out. You know, we've got the dollar index breaking out and gold breaking out. So gold actually is starting to even outperform the dollar. So I think this is very good sign. Now I'll show you the gold in euros. Of course, I've got quite a few viewers in Europe, and I'm sure they'll be interested. Look at that move from around 1100 to 1125. We're down a little bit this morning, but doing really well. Gold in euros, 1123 right now. And the gold in British pounds, same kind of scenario, trading around 970, and we got up to 982 yesterday, and almost ready to break out. You wouldn't have thought that would be happening with the dollar so strong. So that's why I think we're in the cusp of making a big move higher in the precious metals, and it's not to do with the dollar, it's to do with the system. The system showing signs of, cracking the fiat money system, a system that is on its last legs, in my opinion. So Even more impressive was the price of silver in pounds here. You can see how well, silver is breaking out in pounds. The original, the money of the people, that's really starting to move. So we're almost at 13 now. And you can see how well it did yesterday. And how well it's been doing. I mean, for the last, how long is this here? It's an intraday chart, but it goes back to a month. So it's definitely going from the bottom left of the charts to the top right. And silver in euros, same thing. That's even breaking out even more. I think people are starting to realize that the ECB's cornered. So is the Bank of England. So is the Fed. The Fed, of course, has been helped out by the government and Congress with a huge deficits. But that's going to turn around and bite them in the foot as well. Gold and silver, they're ready to go, in my opinion. I know it's frustrating for those of you who follow in dollars. I follow in dollars as well. But you need to look under the surface to see what's really going on. So yesterday you had a huge day. Probably the headlines in the mainstream said dollar rallies massively after ECB, but they didn't say that gold rallied even more after the ECB. So gold's starting to show its true colors, that it's the ultimate currency. And that's why the bankers trade gold as a currency, and they manipulate it as they manipulate their other currencies. But they can't do it forever because gold can't be printed like their other currencies. So that's where we're at. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. You can also follow me on Steemit, DTube, and on Twitter. I'll talk to you later. Take care. Goodbye.